Hey everybody, this is the Slightest Review. I'm here today to talk to you about my disappointment in episode 17 of season 2 of Nancy Drew, which you probably could already tell by the title of this video. I actually wasn't even going to make another video about Nancy Drew because I was getting kind of tired of making videos. The season's almost over. I've already told you about my displeasement of season 2 and my enjoyment of season 1. Talked about the last 2 episodes and how last week was my absolute favorite, and how with only 2 episodes left, I'm thinking to myself, what could go wrong? Well, it didn't necessarily go wrong, it just went more confusing. This episode confused the crimson waves out of me. And if you don't know what crimson waves are, go watch the Clueless movie. And seriously, if the writers don't care, then why in the world should I care? Why should I come back for season 3? But I'm gonna come back for season 3 anyway, just to see, hopefully it'll be better. If season 3 ain't better, man, I'm gonna start watching this show because I don't care. Just to have things bounce around, going from, okay, let's go from realism to ghost type stuff and back and forth. And then oh, let's retread something back from season 1. And then just so much inconsistencies, and it's just so many plot lines wasted. It is so much wasted potential in this second season and in this series in general. And it's just what in the world are y'all doing over there? And when I saw this episode, I'm just God, I'm just it's an okay episode and all, but it's did you have to add that? Why couldn't you make this person do this? And it's why couldn't everything come into a full circle? Why did y'all have to do this crap again? And last week's episode was so good. I mean, it was good. It was so good. And then they just pissed on it, man. Seriously, that's what they did in this next episode. And it's just because the trailer for this week's episode made it seem like it was going to be good again, and then it just kind of fell flat. Okay, so let me just recap real quick some of the non-important but yet important type stuff, and then let me get into the thing that really got to me. Carson is still freaked out about the picture he saw of Nancy. This is his first time seeing something paranormal. So he talks to Bess, and Bess is oh my God, I can't believe what this picture looked like, and blah, blah, blah. And so she tries calling George, and George doesn't know where Nancy is, and they haven't told Nick, even though Nick's in the same room because they slept together last night. And so I don't know why they wouldn't tell Nick, because he's part of the Drew crew, but yeah. So Carson, George, and Bess are all now trying to discover what these marks are on Nancy's arm and why she looks kind of ghoulish and stuff. Okay, so the lady who has all the freaky boxes and all the freaky stuff, that's Hannah. Now in the books, Hannah was Nancy's housekeeper, and she was also her mother figure. They didn't do that here. Bess has pictures of her on her cell phone of Nancy before Carson took the picture with the Polaroid, and she still has these slash marks again, that ghoulish type look, so they don't know what's really going on with her. So they take it to the lady, and the lady starts doing some research all throughout the episode, and let's put a pin in that for now. While they're doing this, Ace is trying to track down Nancy's cell phone to find out where she's at. And once again, Ace is just there. Seriously, why did they create this character? They're never going to do anything interesting with him. And when they start to do something interesting with him, they pull it back because they find out, oh, wait, this character's not interesting at all. And so, I kid you not, he types on the laptop to look for her for all of 10 seconds, 10 to 15, find her, and then he disappears for the entire episode. And I know I come down hard on Ace, which I do, because, it's warranted. I mean, the dude is literally just there. But even though I bash on the character, I never talk ill will of the actor, because I don't have a problem with him. It's not his fault that they don't write nothing good for him. So George is talking about to the lady about she gives her a hypothetical question about what if this girl shares the body with the ghost and their life force is emerging to where the host body is dying. Well, the lady tells her that she asks her when does Odette die, and she tells her at 22, and she says since they're intertwined, then the host body should die at the same age as the ghost person. And of course, Georgie is in her 20s. I don't know exactly how old, but she ain't got much time. But the lady tells her that she has about a decade left, but I guess she must assume that this ghost person must be a teen or something like that. But and that's all we get of George in this episode. And you know how I feel about George. Bess gets wasted in this episode as well. All she is there to do is to compare pictures and be like, oh my god, I can't believe Nancy looks like this. And that's pretty much it. So the lady determines by reading a book that what's wrong with Nancy is that she has a parasitic ghost attached to her. And so they don't know how Nancy got it. This is that's what the claw marks are about. So I was right. It was something like monstrous, kind of animalistic type thing. And so they don't know what this parasite looks like. They can look like anything. And she said that no camera on Earth can capture such a being. So George comes up with a great idea. She calls Nick and she's all like, well, we can build a camera, that can show what this ghost thing looks like, because I guess now all of a sudden they can. And they can do it without the help of Tom Swift. So anyway, there was some goggles from a previous episode that could see paranormal type crap. And I can't remember what episode that was. It might have been a Tom Swift episode. And so she calls Nick on the phone. She's all then she finally does tell him about Nancy, and she's all you still have the goggles, we can combine this and that and do this and that. And he's just like, huh? Because even he is confused by all of this crap. Along with me. Now let's put a pin in that later. Nick has his own side adventure that's completely different from the two narratives of the story. The two narratives of the story is what's going on with Nancy and the parasitic ghoul and the whole Everett thing. But Nick is having another Black awareness episode. Now this one I actually approve of, because they're actually now doing exactly what I want. They're sprinkling in throughout the entire series. Granted, it's the last few episodes, but hey, at least they're doing it instead of just cramming it all in one type of episode, And so his main problem is that he wanted to get a youth center started, but there's this guy who's renovating an apartment with him or something like that, or a location with him, doesn't want the youth center there. And so when he goes to talk to the guy, he finds out why. The guy doesn't want those type of people in his clean neighborhood. What kind of neighborhood he has? A white one, where white people love to shop and all this and that. What type of people he's talking about? Black young people who I guess used to be I'd have come from anywhere in that whole town, He doesn't want the idea of little black kids that could be possible juvenile delinquents, or getting into trouble, being in the neighborhood, disrupting his white businesses and stuff like that. And so him and Nick have a discussion back and forth, and he tells Nick, oh, you're one of the good ones and stuff. I just don't want, them. And he's all I'll donate to your youth center as long as you put it in the next town over. So this upset Nick, and it should, because, stuff like this does happen a lot. Where it's people don't want certain folks in the neighborhood because they think they're going to do something bad. Something recently just happened like that on the internet I read, where it's like this black guy was just wandering around in the neighborhood and wasn't messing with nobody, and the white people of that neighborhood didn't want him there because they didn't know who he was, and he was just wandering around. One, it is a free country. You can wander around any way you want in a neighborhood. You just can't be on nobody's property, and he was not on nobody's property. He was just in the street. And so they send out, this lady calls her husband, and he comes out barking orders, telling the man, get out of the neighborhood or I'll mess you up. Now this guy is a former military officer and stuff, and he is just berating this guy, and I think he even puts his hands on him. So of course, the ex-military dude gets arrested, as he should, because it's kind of like they literally just saw a black dude wandering around and they freaked out in a very Karen manner, So I get where Nick is coming from. So at least this episode was important, and it's sprinkling throughout the series when it comes to him. But granted, like I said before, it's the last few episodes. So after Ace finds out where Nancy's cell phone is located, he sends it to Carson. Carson goes looking for it, and don't you know, Nancy gave him the old runaround. She just placed it in a random location in town. So the detective dude that really hates Nancy, he's trying to figure out who killed Cecilia and stuff like that. And, he determines that the body was dead long before, the little banquet thing. And then he sees some sharp pieces of glass from a tail light. And so he goes back to his, police station. He does, he runs this and that on it. He's trying to find, fingerprints, trying to find, what model of the car. And then he brings in Nick. Well, actually, Nick had to go see him for something anyway. And so he asked Nick, you're a car guy, blah, 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 blah. Well, what kind of tail light this will come from. But I don't understand how he would be able to figure it out just from a tail light. Most tail lights look the same. But anyway, after doing, because it's literally pieces of glass, not like it's the whole thing. So Nick does determine whose it is, but then he kind of plays dumb. And so when he does that, the detective figures out, okay, it must be Nancy. And so Nick asks him for help with the whole youth center thing. Nick goes back to that one dude, and he tells him, he got a donation from the police station. So now he's going to build his youth center right across the street from that dude's restaurant. And so the dude's just like, ugh, you know what I'm saying? So the cop dude, he calls up Nancy, and he's all like, get back Everett, and all this other stuff. Now it's time to get into the part that really got pissed me off. So Nancy and Gil Bosby, they are interrogating Everett about the murder of Cecilia. And this is the part that actually starts off the entire episode, and it's actually pretty good in the first minute or so. Nancy is still doing her boss thing. She has him in a house that's somewhere, I guess in a bad part of the neighborhood, something like that. Anyway, so she's interrogating him, asking him, why'd you kill your wife? How'd you kill her? And blah, blah, stuff like that. And he's all like, and he actually has no idea what the world she's talking about. And so she constantly asks him over and over again. And so she's playing kind of mind games with him to kind of get him to confess. And then he tells her straight up, I don't know what you're talking about. But then he plays mind games for her back. And since he now knows that she's his granddaughter, she brings up Lucy Sable, and then Nancy's former boyfriend who had to die in the first season. She gets pissed, puts the tape around his mouth again, and tells him, don't you ever bring up their names again. And so she's still doing her boss mode from last week, but you can kind of tell she's not being very convincing, and he can see this too. So she goes back to do some more leg work to figure out what's Everett in game. While she is doing that, Gil is pissed off and wants Everett dead because one of the reasons why his dad is in jail is because of Everett. And so he's really, really pissed, upset. And Everett, doing the con man type businessman's shady thing that he does, he's all like, your dad has never once come to me to get him out of prison. And he should, because I have contacts. and I can get him out of prison this very day. So then, next thing you know, it cuts from that to him untying Everett, and Nancy walks in pissed. Because Gil just wants his dad out of prison, and he'll do whatever it takes, even if it means unleashing this dude and, whatever. So Nancy convinces him to tie him back up. Then Ryan comes in, because Ryan was earlier at the morgue, and, he was kissing his dead mother, and then he talked to the detective, and he asked him, "Where's your dad?" He's like, "I don't know." He's all like, "Well, we saw, somebody saw the limo drive off, and I think like a bad part of town." So I guess Ryan, if this is the family limo, they must have a tracker on it. So Ryan tracks it down. He's in the house. He sees his dad. His dad's all happy. So like, "Oh, thank God you came here to rescue me." But Ryan ends up beating the snot out of him. He beats him up so bad that he's unconscious. And in the next scene, he wakes up. And then, so Nancy's doing like her little interrogation thing again. And then Everett lays down some truth on her about what's going on. And then it makes Nancy stop and think. And then they both realize, oh crap, Everett didn't kill Cecilia. And then she lays down some confessions talking about how she gave Cecilia Everett's hit list. And because she went back to Howard's laptop to print out the list or look through the list and stuff like that, because she wants to follow the money trail, she said. But she couldn't figure nothing out. And so then with the list, she tells them, and they're all like, "Well, who did this hit list like belong to, and who did she have Cecilia because she had Cecilia do some like really risky type stuff." And that risky stuff was kind of like get information on Everett from this organization, this very deadly organization. I don't even remember hearing the name in any previous episode. And when Everett hears the name of this organization, he tells them, "You're a fool, and you're the one who got Cecilia killed, because this secret organization sent you a message through Cecilia." And so this secret organization is called Roadback. Now, at first I couldn't hear them, so I turned on the caption, and I thought they said Rover Boys at first, but nope, it's Roadback. Now, Roadback could be some type of nod to the Rover Boys, because Rover Boys starts with R and a B, and Roadback is R and a B. And the Roadback Boys were kind of like juvenile delinquent type people, but I guess they kind of like turned the way around. And then the Roadback people are like deadly people, And so Nancy had Everett's hit list. She couldn't trust nobody with it, so she trusted Cecilia with it. And so she had her kind of like go undercover a little bit with the road dudes. She knew the road dudes were bad, and she did it anyway. And Everett literally tells her that cost her life, and you are the reason why your grandmother is dead and not me. And so what pisses me off about this is, one, I've never heard of this organization before. Maybe they name dropped it in a previous episode, but I don't remember. And even if they did, it's kind of like we don't know much of nothing about them. And two, this was a great opportunity for them to put the blame on Everett, the writers. I mean, last week's episode was so powerful, so intense, of him seeing red and he'll do anything, and he's like a murderer, because he actually does murder a person we found out in this episode with that tape. And so, with him being the murderer, with him being this evil businessman, with him wouldn't even mind killing his own family, with him talking about he'll handle his son, and it's just like, this was a great opportunity for them to go like full on circle with this whole family secret and ties and stuff like that. But no, instead they had to throw in a twist and have it be the Roadback dudes. And it's just like, why couldn't they say that for next season instead of this one? They could have ended this season perfectly with them trying to pin the murder on Everett, and they could have done it that way. But no, they had to just throw in a twist. So Nancy's all upset. She runs outside. I think she might have hugged Gil before then or after. Anyway, that's an important reason why. So she runs outside. Ryan chases after her, and she's all upset because she got Cecilia killed. And so he tells her, like it's okay. His mom knew what she was getting herself into, and all this other stuff. Ryan is totally okay with Nancy accidentally getting his own mother killed. But yet, when he thought it was his dad, he was ready to kill that dude. So it's like, that's just inconsistent writing. He should be furious. And that would have been a great problem between him and Nancy. Because in the first season, they didn't get along at all. And so after he found out that that's his kid, all of a sudden he did like a complete personality shift. So this would have been a nice way to shift it back to him like hating Nancy, as this was a huge missed opportunity from the writers. Another problem I have with the whole robot dudes killing Cecilia to send a message to Nancy is like, why Cecilia? Like, she doesn't go around telling people that Nancy's her granddaughter. So they had no idea. If they really wanted to send a message, they could have killed one of her friends or her adoptive dad. Hopefully Ace. Seriously, just kill this dude off and move on with the show. They could have just did it with him. They really wanted to send a message. It should have been one of her friends, one that's not very interesting writing-wise, and therefore it's Ace. So then Nancy and what's his face? Brian run back in. I think she does then hug Gil. Yeah, then she hugs him. And then some more talking goes in. I think they go back outside, something like that. Or they turn around, and then they turn back around again. And then next thing you know, Everett is gone and Ryan is sitting down in the chair. And I think, literally they just turned around to go talk or something like that, or went in the next room. They did something, and they turned around, and Everett's gone, and Gil's sitting in the chair. And then, because once again, Gil has let him loose because he wants his dad out of prison. So then we see Everett, and he's somewhere. I don't know where the dude's at, but he's somewhere. And he's looking underneath something, and he grabs a tape, and it's the Black Crown tape, the one of him murdering somebody. And then in walks Nancy and her dad, and he's all like, how did you suspect that I would come here and all this other stuff? So then they show a flashback. Remember when she came in all hysterically and she hugged Gil? Well, she whispered in his ear for him to let Everett go because he'll lead them to the tape. And boom, that's exactly what happened. So then they watched the tape, and it's an actual VCR tape. And VCR tapes are very outdated. And somehow they found a VCR that hooked up perfectly to a flat screen TV, which is harder than you think sometimes. But nowadays, they're starting to add more stuff to flat screen TVs, so maybe it wasn't that hard. But it's just kind of random how they will find a VCR, and VCRs are extremely outdated. So they watched the tape. And it turns out that this happened back in the 1980s, which is an interesting number. Why? Because of the Hulu Hardy Boys series. I think they wanted to throw a nod to it because I don't think they have the rights to actually, bounce around on both shows, and they're completely two different networks. But they wanted to throw some kind of hint nod to it. So we found out who Everett killed with his bare hands. He was a lot younger, probably back in his 20s or something. He killed his own brother, which is Ryan's uncle. And Ryan is extremely pissed off about this because he lied to his own son, saying that his brother died in the woods of unforeseen circumstances, and something else, I think he was naked or something like that, and it was something. He just lied to his son in a huge way, and his son believed it. Why does Ryan care so much about his uncle? We have no idea. We have never heard Ryan even speak of his uncle, but apparently they have a really great bond. And a bond, I guess we'll figure out in the third season. I'm assuming that since Everett is so evil and stuff, Ryan just ran to his uncle to be more like a father figure. So that's the only thing I could think of. And then we see his uncle sitting on a log. And here comes Everett. He's pissed off about something. He just starts punching and choking him, and he kills him. Why? I don't know. So then we see Everett once again taken away in handcuffs, and now he's off back in jail again. And then next thing you know, Carson finds Nancy. And he tells her, like, to come with him and blah, 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 stuff like that. And they go into a dark room. And we see Ace there for all of like 5 seconds because he's playing around on the computer. So then, she's in the room and he tells her, like, thing like to close her eyes or something like that. And then this thing, like, tons of pictures keep getting taken, like flashes. And she's like, what's going on, guys? And then they took the picture and they printed out very fast. Like, this just happened fast because of time constraint of the show. And then we get to see this parasite thing around her. It's the same little ghoulish ghost monster thing from like earlier on in the season when they first met Gil Bosby. And they thought they got rid of it, but apparently it jumped and latched on to Nancy. And so Nancy's all like, I can't believe I had this thing on me this whole time. Like, I would have felt it. And then he tells her, well, you did say you've been acting strangely this entire season and stuff and all this other crap. Okay, one, Nancy has been acting like Nancy this entire season. The only time she doesn't act like Nancy is when she's having like she's crying or something like that. But we rarely see that happen from Nancy because, in the first season she didn't really cry unless she got like really upset. And so it's like she just acted normal as normal could be. So I don't understand why she would say, oh, I've been feeling differently and blah, 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 and stuff like that. Because she hasn't. She's been acting the same. Writers, what are you doing? Then we get a montage of flashbacks. And she's remembering every time she acted differently. Basically, it's like she's sad or like she was talking about something, but all of a sudden she stopped because the creature put its hand over her mouth. And so now she realized, oh, wait, those must have been the incidents where the thing took over me. And I'm just like, that's random. And for random for you to figure out in all of 5 seconds. And it's just like, that was not written very well. And it's just like, what are these writers doing, man? And so now they have to find a way to save her in all of one episode of next week. And this is what pisses me off so badly. They screwed up the whole Everett thing with like him killing his wife. That would have been major. That would have been huge for him to like not care about his family and kill him. Then we will know Ryan's life would be in danger, which now it's not. So missed opportunity there. Then they throw in this rogue organization that nobody's really never heard of and stuff. Even Ryan doesn't even know who they are. So now we got to deal with that in the next season. And it was just a missed opportunity. They could have, and then they had Everett kill his own brother. Reasons for why, we don't know. And it's just like, why does Ryan care about him so much? Once again, we don't know. And so now we have to figure out on that season, oh, who's this uncle and why he was so important and why exactly did Everett kill him and stuff and why did everybody cover it up? And then the biggest missed opportunity of them all. One, they could have killed off one of Nancy's friends, that rogue organization. Then that would have made them like seem really, really, really dangerous, other than killing Cecilia, a person Nancy barely knew. And nobody knew it was her granny and stuff. They could have killed off Ace. He. And then another missed opportunity is this whole Odette thing. She has not appeared in the last couple of episodes. Why bring that up? And what let her in that storyline, because it's stupid. One, Odette, she is like, it's cool seeing her in George's body because George does like a really cool French accent. But then they had her go fall in love with Bess, and that makes no sense. And since it's not continuing no more, she's only appeared on a few episodes. And she hasn't been seen in a few more episodes. So now it's kind of like, okay, what's the point? Oh, that's kind of like, oh, ho, 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 foo, and, I'm all in love with you, and like with a little French accent. And then his best, oh, tea and crumpets, and la, 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 and I can't find a girlfriend, and blah, 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 and hey, let's, da, da, da. But, oh, wait, we can't. Nick still doesn't know about that whole thing. He still don't know about the letter. He still don't know about the whole, like, them liking each other. And it's kind of like, she had a girlfriend who she dumped for a dumb reason. and never got back with. And then the biggest missed opportunity of all, they had to throw in another ghoulish ghost. I'm sick and tired of them doing that. That doesn't seem natural. And it's a retread of the first season when Nancy got like possessed, and then the whole Clayca thing and her friends, they had to solve it, and who was gonna die. That's just literally a retread from last season to get people to come back for the next season. And then not only that, but why this random ghost that popped up in one episode and one episode only has never been revealed since then? Why couldn't it just be the Clayca? Or better yet, why couldn't it be George? Or why not put the Clayca Odette thing in Nancy's body? It was just so many missed opportunities. Because if you already have one ghost possessing one of the people on this show, why in the world would you have another one that's attaching itself to the lead? And it's just like, where is this show going? Where is the writing going? They throw in all these twists that are just as random as the show itself. And so I'm so pissed because that was a huge missed opportunity with the whole Everett thing. And now this whole ghost that's just reappeared out of like nowhere. And it's just like, they take 2 steps back when they should be taking 2 steps forward and stuff. And not only that, but the biggest missed opportunity again. Okay, so whatever, say the parasite is on Nancy. Why couldn't the whole season elaborate on that more? Why couldn't that be the focus of this entire season instead of episodic episodes? It's like these writers don't know what they're doing. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.